son of a bitch.
Sorry.
Fucking girlfriend?
No, I just wish you would be.
Okay, little bit on the disturbing side. Moving on. Welcome. The best way to present this to you, I feel, is somewhat like this. Do you like movies? Do you like a good session of role-playing with your friends? Are you ridiculously obsessed with Magic the Gathering? He is. If you are, then I've got a treat for you. I can guarantee to either entertain you or at least tickle you by the end of this. Welcome to A View from the Couch.
You never seem to get it right. It's A View from the Sofa. Hello, I'm Daniel, and here you see my co-mate is Cormac. Now we today are going to mention something that's deep and dark and twisted in our souls, but also has an addictive quality that's like crack.
It basically means it's an obsession.
It's an obsession.
It's an obsession that a lot of people have.
Yeah, quite a lot. But moving on, the obsession today is Magic the Gathering. Dun dun dun. Yes.
Evil villain?
Yes, of course it is. But then again, the idea of Magic the Gathering is basically like any other card game. To win! But it has more complicated than your average Switch or other card game and more simplified formats of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon. It has several different...
mention that, didn't
I'm sorry, Emily. Yeah. Well, anyway, it has several different winning ideas. You basically make sure your opponent runs out of cards. It's called milling. Milling. Okay, you said mill. Right. And also, there's a way to take your opponent's life total. Unlike just having enough, I've said, objective to get rid of the cards from your hand like other card games, you have a life total. And every certain actions hurt your life total.
Have you ever thought that people who actually play this game might be watching? Therefore, we don't have to spell everything out.
Yeah, but some people are.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways, getting past the basics, we're here to talk about today probably one of the things that has redefined Magic the most out of any other type of effect or cards that have come out with their mechanics. We're talking about, of course, Planeswalkers, and my favorite of all, Jace.
The infamous Jace.
The amazing Jace.
I say infamous.
Like a magician, man. So ridiculously overpowered, it was banned from Standard. Oh, about, 3 months after it came out? I mean, just looking at this, it's a 4-drop with a 3 base loyalty. It's a +2, allows you to look at the top card of your opponent's library and put that card on the bottom if you so choose. 0 is draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand back onto the top of your library in any order. It's a free ponder. It's a free scry. It's just fantastic. The -1, return a target creature to its owner's hand. Again,
Perfect removal.
perfect removal. And broken, might I add, if you consider how cheap that actually is at just a -1.
Its plus is worse.
Its plus is way worse.
Game changing.
Yeah, extremely game changing, which is probably why it was banned in the first place. Anyways, the last one, which is okay, at a -12, you're not going to get there very fast, but you'll get there eventually. You just exile all the cards from target player's library, and then that player shovels his or her hand into his or her library. That, if you pull it off, literally wins you the game.
It's happened to me. It's not
Seriously?
very nice, yes.
Ooh.
PTQ, no less.
Really, in a PTQ, you should be ashamed.
I know.
I should have died as soon as it hit the field.
Now, to be truly fair to Planeswalkers, we're going to have to at least come up with the other 4 colours. I know that my friend Cormac would just rather we talked about Jace for a good old 20 minutes. Yes. Yes, he's sick. He needs help. We'll get him help someday. So, we're going to talk about the other 4 different types of magic cards. Colours of mana. Which are different types of magic cards.
Our 4 choices for the last 4 remaining colors of Magic.
In current standard at the moment.
In current standard.
This may be soon to change with the release of M13.
Indeed.
So some of our choices would change.
Probably. Anyways, I think the first thing that we really need to look at is the different sorts, because there's so many planeswalkers out there.
We can't include them all, I'm afraid.
Not
Such
enough
a
time.
limited time.
But based on that, I think the best ones we should go for are Gideon Jura, Liliana the Veil, Koth of the Hammer, and of course Garruk Wildspeaker. Oldie but a goodie.
Now, see, some other people may have picked the more recent Garuks, but I have to say I prefer the classic one. I mean, it's more expensive, mana color wise, but it is better because of ramp.
It's basically a 2-cast cost planeswalker, because as soon as you bring them out, you just untap 2 lands. And you can use that for a multitude of other things. And in a green deck, that's what you need the most. Access to your lands.
Mana ramp is key. So, let's discuss his abilities. His +1 ability, which we've already mentioned and covered, is untap 2 target lands. Tidy thing to do. It's -1, in a pinch, can put yourself a blocker, 3/2 beast token into play. It's -4. Now this has happened to us quite a few times. We have a friend who runs a red-green, and this happens quite regularly. It's -4. Creatures you control get a +3/+3 and trample until end of turn. It is a game changer. When this has happened, you better hope you have a whole handful removal,
It's a game winner.
or you're gone. Right, that's green dealt with. Let's move on to white next.
Gideon Jura. A most beautiful card. Probably one of my favorite planeswalkers, period. Just for its innate +1, +2, and -2 abilities. The +2, during target opponent's turn, next turn, creatures that player controls attack Gideon Jura if able. That's like having a prized unicorn sitting in your back pocket to be used whenever you want. You control the flow of the battle, and that wins Magic games.
Think of it in a more realistic context. It's basically a Day of Judgment, but only affecting your opponent's creatures, because you have the ability to block all his creatures as you swing a Gideon.
More than that, I've actually found that it can actually save you if you were a way to get overwhelmed, and direct all the damage that would be dealt to you onto Gideon.
And then you can sweep through your creatures to win the game.
Just based on that, perfect card. -2, destroy target tap creature,
It's an assassinate for a free ability.
which works wonders considering the first ability forces your opponent's creatures to tap anyways, so you get to pick and choose as you please as to what dies. It's 0, which is not as fluid as the rest of the abilities, but still quite useful, is until the end of the turn, Gideon becomes a 6/6 human soldier creature that still has still a planeswalker, and that would prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn.
Now, he leaves him open to abilities like Doomblade, because it still becomes a creature, so it technically can be destroyed. But Lightning Bolts, Incinerates, your common red spell damage is pretty useless against it. And also blocking is kind of a pain. Imagine this with the new stuff of Exalted coming back. He's a pretty nasty boy, I have to say.
Not to mention the fact that with all the support for soldiers out there, you can guarantee you can at least pump them up. If not make him indestructible by simply having that beautiful angel that came out in the newest set. A little bit expensive, but lovely.
Well, I think we've covered that. I think we should move on to one of my favourite colours, red. Koth of the Hammer. What is to say? It's a 4-cast that gives you an ability to swing with a mountain. I mean, you drop a 4-cast. When this came out in Scars, this was game winning. You just drop your 4 for your Koth. You do his +1, putting up, swing on a 4/4. It's nice.
Devastating.
Devastating. The -2, add a mountain, add a red mana for each mountain you pull. Great, it has worked many a time for Titans, other red nasty creatures. You can get loads of small creatures out, but it basically speeds up the game.
Not to mention the base lava axe that you can use that for, or even a fireball.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great idea as a -2. Very balanced. It's reasonable for its +1.
It's a pretty decent card.
For a creature that for a planeswalker that comes out with 3 loyalty, it's pretty decent.
What's its last ability?
Its last ability is a -5. It's a pretty retarded one. I mean, you get an emblem it turns up that you can tap your mint to do 1 damage to creature or player. Now, rarely this happens, but they do stack. So imagine 2 of these bad boys out.
Imagine 3 of them. Each one of your land is an actual lightning bolt, which is just terrifying.
When it gets to that stage, you probably should have run it, 1 if you're running a red deck.
Yeah, if you haven't won by that point, you should be ashamed to be a red player.
True. Right, now this leaves us with my favourite colour of all Magic, black.
And that leaves only one real choice for this. Liliana of the Veil.
Liliana of the Veil, great 3-drop. Controls turns, eventually can cause your opponent to worry about what he wants to keep alive.
And is the essence of what black stands out for as, the background, the character, the depth of the game. It's +1, each player discards a card.
Now, I know what you're thinking, that is kind of a bad thing for you, but it's great if you're working it in basically either a dredge deck or a reanimator deck. It's great because you can get your big bomb from your hand, which is just sitting there, into the graveyard to cast for less.
I've seen you do that on several occasions, especially with the new set.
Yeah, Grizzle Band, nasty thing.
Ugh.
Gets it out on turn 5 is a
Terrifying. It's just something you don't want to see happening.
It's game
-2, target player sacrifices a creature. Now, while initially this could be considered slightly off because you're having to sacrifice, the fact of the matter is you're still gaining card advantage. Period.
You're misrepresenting the card. It works so well against hexproofers.
Ooh.
Because
Very
it stops the targeting is what irritates most black players because you can't target said hexproof creature. But if it's the only creature he controls and you have a Liliana on the table, you better guess that card's going.
It's controlling of the battlefield, and if there's one thing that'll win you a game, it's control of the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, it's -6. Separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. That player sacrifices all the permanents in a pile of his or her choice. This is where you get to have fun as a black player, because you're forcing somebody into a situation where they have to choose between one evil and another.
Mm-hmm. Controlling the game once again. At that point in the stage of the game, you're making sure you get rid of all the cards that give you an advantage.
Do you want to lose all your land or all your creatures?
Exactly. Now, at that point, you've probably got your reanimated demon out or something nasty out, or you've killed him for spell damage.
Putting him into probably the stickiest situation he'll face in your Magic game.
Now, I'm aware there's loads of planeswalkers we didn't mention, but we will come back to this at a later time. There's so many planeswalkers out there, and I kind of feel that we just done ones that are close to us and we've seen.
The ones that we love the most playing with, the ones that have been the bread and butter of our decks.
Yeah. Now, that's all we have time for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and can carry on watching the rest of our videos.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
See ya. Horrible son of a bitch.
No, it's
And I'm not your
said couch.
girlfriend.
I said couch.
God damn it, Danny. Right.